Good morning. It's been a little while since I last did a flight sim video, and there's two reasons for that. I promised last time that I would check some of the other planes to see if there was ongoing rudder issues with the autopilot. I believed it was, but I wanted to check how bad it had gotten with the TBM and some of the other planes that I'd experienced it in. However, I'd also been covering some aspects of performance, and I saw a comment that the next patch was supposed to help with some of the performance around large airports, which potentially in some of the cities like LAX and DFW, where I've called it out a while back that performance had tanked, we might see an improvement. So I wanted to hold off and do the video as kind of a two-in-one. Now the patch specifically calls out airports like DFW, so I'm going to fly around DFW. Now after the last video, I also made a few minor tweaks to the performance, or to my settings under graphics, to see if I could improve performance a little bit, and I made a little bit of an improvement without too much of a sacrifice in quality. So I just wanted to scroll through these settings so you can see what I've got now compared to the previous video. So I'm still at my 5760 by 1200 resolution, VSync off. Render scaling is at 80% or 4608 by 960. Using TAA for anti-aliasing. Terrain level of details down a little bit at 180. Terrain, vector, buildings, trees are all at high. Grass and bushes are now at medium. Object level of details at 190. Volumetric clouds are down to medium. Texture resolution's at high. Anisotropic filtering's at 4x, texture sampling's at 4x4, water waves are at high, just because I like seeing the wave simulation, even though it doesn't really show up that much, so I may drop that down a little more. Shadow maps I drop down 1, terrain shadows I drop down 1, contact shadows down to medium, windshield effects on high, simply because it's in my face and I want to be able to see it. Ambient occlusion, reflections, light shafts all on medium because they're farther out in the distance. Depth of field is still on ultra because I like to see things at a distance. Motion blur on high, lens correction off, and glass cockpit refresh rate on medium. So, those are my settings. Now to the flight. And actually, I think I just saw it here. Yeah, they've started adding some of these other airplanes. I haven't really seen any good ones that are free as just a call out. But I have seen a couple of these other planes start showing up in the marketplace, so I just wanted to highlight that real quick. But for the flight, we are going to come back to the US because they flat called out a specific area. So I'm going to take off from Alliance here. We're going to repeat the flight that we did before. Love to Addison. We're going to come in on the north. We are going to do low altitude, and now we're going to set you to, wait, I'm coming in on 1.5, I think there, yep. Okay, so essentially we're going to take off and fly south for a bit, and then we'll come around. I have no idea what any of these are. Which one did I pick before? Heck no. I don't remember which one I chose. Alright, then we are going to put you back on direct, simply because that's a bit fussy. I believe that I only came down to AT&T Stadium, so I guess that's what we'll do. Alright, let's set this to daytime now. Let's do a 6 p.m. flight. Alright, so again, we've done this flight before. I'm just going to take off and fly around. We're going to test two things here. One, my FPS in-game, adjusted for all the settings I've made, and then when we fly by DFW, where previously we used to see a loss of, I want to say 10 FPS last time. I was in the teens when I last flew by on this route, seeing how rough it was, and you can see by the number of players here right now that it's obviously got to be a little better. You're not a player, but there's a lot more people around here than there were before. So let's jump in and see what happens with our longitude flight. Alright, so we are just in the game. Initial FPS results are not very pleasing. Spawned in at 10 to 13 for about 5 seconds, then we went up to about 19 for another 5-10 seconds, and now we're at between 22 and 29 FPS. So I'm not at all sorry to see the mid-20s, as that's a good improvement. But the 8-9 FPS fluctuation is what I'm not too pleased at seeing, simply because of how harsh of a jump that is. Alright, let me move my VFR map out of the way here. And the load times still weren't all that fabulous, but is what it is. What can you do about it? Alright, so let's get my altitude up to about 4K. I think that's where I'm going to end up. Vertical speed up to 1,000. Okay, we're going to zip up pretty quick. Let's turn regular nav on. And make sure I want you on, interesting. Okay, I must have kept it on GPS, so I don't have a normal flight pattern. Alright, so I think we're ready to go. Let's go outside the plane. You can see the graphical quality's not terrible. There's some bushes and grass and weeds in the dirt. They don't look too bad. The plane itself looks pretty good still. Airport looks decent, ground looks decent, so not a lot of loss. Yeah, I think it looks alright. I'm sitting at 26 FPS right now. When I did the kind of reload to the back, it dropped to 13 FPS for a moment and then kind of kicked back in, which is a little odd. So I'm not sure why it did that. Just checking the sensitivity on my wings and things. I'm kind of curious if my sensitivity settings have been screwed up. Why is mouse my default right now? Controller, sensitivity. Yeah, I don't really think the camera needs much of that, but alright. Alright, well, I'm glad I looked. Cancel. Resume. And for some reason my VFR map got moved yet again. Okay. So. And my autopilot's gotten screwed up because I changed all those settings. Vertical speed is still set. Okie dokie. Let's see if we can get this sucker in the air without killing ourselves. Okay, we're veering a little bit to the right. Try to bring it back in line. Nose is about to go. 20 FPS right now. Nose is trying to go. We're airborne. (18 FPS. Wow, that's crazy. This plane does not want to flip and fly. Autopilot on. This is all autopilot right now. I am not flying this airplane at all. Okay, wow. Look at that flight. Oh, my goodness. I'm not doing anything right now. This is all the plane. And I'm not exactly sure what it's... I think because I set it up a little funky, it's flying me straight to AT&T Stadium instead of kind of looping me around. So I'm going to take nav off, go heading. Whoa, please keep the plane level. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to turn this way hard, because I need to go south. There we go. See, why is this so jerky? Just smoothly turn the stupid plane. Right on the edge over speed, but we'll come down to 48% on thrust now that we're at altitude. We're at 16 FPS, so I don't feel like performance is better at all. I mean, it's not as choppy, so I'll give it that it's a little more stable, but the fact that we're still sitting here at this low of an FPS is pretty depressing. There's AT&T Stadium off of 30. We gotta be flying over 183. Yeah, see, with the airport in the view, everything gets really choppy, so I don't know if this patch has really done anything. Now, why are we starting to hook to the left? There should be no reason that this plane is starting to drift to the left. I'm on a heading lock. See, there goes my rudder. Okay, so autopilot is still completely broken. We're going to switch to nav, which should start turning us violently. Okay, so there's the stadium, there's Interstate 30 down there.
Contact FT for its center on 134.15. 134.15 Cessna dash. FT for its center Cessna, 4,100 feet. Cessna, FT for its center, continue as planned. Altimeter 29.902.
Okay, we came way south here. I think part of the problem is the plane's not turning right because of the compensation being applied to the rudder. Yep, that's what it is. So if I straighten out my rudder... No, don't apply it the other way. So I have to feather this because it's trying to go one way while I try to go the other. I seem to be turning at about the same rate. And now I'm way off course, so I'm taking over. Screw you, this plane needs to go north because we're just flying in a straight line. Because you do not know how to fly a plane. Autopilot back on. There we go. Yeah, I may not even get to finish landing this thing. There's no point. I mean, autopilot's completely broken. I should be flying perfectly straight, but instead I'm once again at a skewed angle and the plane's struggling to fly. Just does not make a lick of sense.
1.1 for Cessna dash. Regional departure Cessna, 4,000 feet.
20 FPS, dipping down to 19. There's the old baseball stadium, since for some reason they're deciding to rip it down. Oh, that's not what it looks like at all. It's kind of terrible. 19 FPS. And we're listing again. Thank you for nothing. Golly, this is so agitating. I just want to fly. But the game just refuses to work. Okay, so we're coming up pretty fast on DFW. Still around 19 and a half FPS with the occasional peak at 20. 18, just for a second, holding at 20 right now. 18, 10, 11, 17, 17, 15, 16, 10. Wow, you can see the performance just tank. Their patch did nothing. This is exactly what happened last time. 14, 15. Wow, it's a chop show. And because it's a chop show, textures elsewhere aren't being loaded and rendered improperly, so the rest of the map starts looking like garbage. 14, 15, 14, 15, 14, 13, 15, 16, 12, 15, 13, 11. Wow, what utter garbage performance. That's just really depressing. And the fact that the plane is still listing to the side. Look at that. Completely unflyable. I'm going to open another support ticket. I mean, this is since this is just stupid. Completely stupid. Unfreaking believable. There's no point in testing any other airplanes. I'm sorry. So performance patch complete fail. I'm barely back up to 16 at this point. Oop, complete lag out, 0 FPS. 12, 14. It's not like my hardware is trash. I suppose I could try to overclock it again, but as from previous tests, overclocking really doesn't make that much of an improvement on the game because I don't really think I'm GPU bound by what I've done at the moment or by what's happening at the moment. Look at that, 45-degree angle split simply because the autopilot doesn't know what it's doing. Golly. I'm supposed to make a right turn here in a minute, but will it just be this screwed up funky left turn? Or will I actually see the plane bank back to the right? That's the only thing I'm waiting on right now. Look at that. That's almost 70% left rudder.
Descend and maintain 2,000 feet. Tower on 126.0 Cessna.
Descend and maintain nothing.
Madison Tower Cessna, 15 miles northwest inbound ILS runway, 15 approach.
Cessna, Addison Tower. Cleared ILS. Runway
Yep, so this is my left turn.
Altimeter 29.2.
This isn't how planes work. I think the wings would be vibrating horribly trying to fly like this.
Cleared ILS runway, 15 approach Cessna dash.
Why is the rudder still going to the left? You should be going to the right, you stupid plane. Look at this now. I'm full right rudder holding it, trying to get this thing to do what it needs to do, but it just is going to fight me all the way and drift back to left rudder. Unbelievable game. Oh, did you finally try it? Nope. We're going to slowly go back to the way we shouldn't be flying in the 20th century, which likely means that I'm not going to be on target very well. I don't know when I'm going to hit the localizers. I don't even think I am. Jeez, what the heck? Does nobody at Asobo play the game at all? How has this still been allowed to be a problem in QA testing? Look at this. This is not how a plane flies. How am I turning to the right? Unfreaking believable. Okay, so I turned autopilot off, banked hard right, and for the moment we're flying semi in the right direction of Addison now. And we can start seeing the left rudder again. Hopeful resetting autopilot will put me on a better track. Let's see what happens when we put, I can't see, where's approach? There it is. Okay, we're going to switch to approach. We're going to turn altitude off. We've got VNav on. Let's see if this thing can fly itself on approach. I don't think it can. We're going to go flaps 1, which will drop my speed a fair amount. This distance we can put the gear down. We're still going way too fast, but that's okay. Oh, there goes the left rudder, easing over a bit. Yeah, I don't think we are quite lined up here, Mr. Autopilot, sir. We're at 22 FPS, so things are going smoothly and decent right now. I put the FW in the distance, 24, 25 FPS, and 23, 21. Okay, so we're not doing too bad. So we fly over 121. Where's this George Bush? No, this is 121.
Clear to land runway 15 Cessna dash.
How can I be cleared to land? I'm not even lined up at the airport. Let's do flaps next. Layer. My plane is severely fighting itself. I will say the altitude's doing pretty decently at this juncture. We are starting to slow down a bit. We're still doing alright. Speed is a little bit fast, but that's alright at the moment, simply because this plane is completely uncontrollable. I'm flying into a runway that's not there, so yeah. And you can see it knows that I'm not there, and the rudder's trying to get me there, but to keep the plane flying stable, the ailerons are fighting approach. So it's trying to drift me over now that we're on the final section, but is it actually going to do it? I don't think it is. Let's do flaps full. This should drop my speed the most. Counter with some thrust. I can see we're on the approach for the slope. Where are you going, plane? Runways to the left. Let's see if I can get this thing to line up a little bit by countering the ailerons. Okay, autopilot's off, so now I'm in control. Not necessarily a good thing. Okay, plane does not want to control at all. I'm basically flying a couch at the moment. Okay.
Contact ground on 121.6.
121.6.0.
Okay, I guess that one's on me for not paying attention to the airspeed as much. More worried about trying to fly in a straight flipping line when I got dumped control and had to keep myself stable. But that's alright, we didn't do too bad. Autopilot's completely worthless. Hard landing, we landed in the grass, which let's get a better look at here. So this doesn't look too bad for grass, I think. Yeah, not great, but it's not bad. It's passable considering what I'm flying in. Load times suck. The flight experience sucks. The airplanes don't fly correctly. Autopilot has no idea what it's doing. I should have bought X-Plane, to be honest with you. I really should have just bought X-Plane. I didn't want to spend $1 billion on everything being DLC. But at least the game would work and I could fly something. I don't get a chance to fly because I either do everything 100% manually in planes that don't control properly because they're overly sensitive, or I have an autopilot that does not have a clue what it's doing. So I'm going to email their support my grievances, and I'm going to flat ask for a refund, and I'm going to see what they say. I'll report back and let you know. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.